Hey everybody, this is David Barnyard Bees. What I'm doing is we've sold a bunch of nukes, and there's a lot of 5-frame nukes that we're keeping, and I'm expanding them out into an 8 or a 10 frame depending on the size of the nuke. Now we do have some old drawn out frames that we're placing in, not many. And I'm going to show you what I'm going to do here. If you look at this frame here, okay, it's an older frame, and notice the size of the cells. They're bigger. So this wouldn't, actually I had set it down in and I pulled it back out to make the video because they already started flying on it. Some of those cells right there might possibly be small enough for brood, but not likely. So to fill in space and to give them comb that's already drawn out to help them out, what I'll do, I'll put these on the outside where it'll also encourage them to put honey there, which bees normally put brood towards the inside, and the further you get outside, it'll be more of a combination of brood and honey. Then on the outside should be mostly honey. So that's what I'm going to do is I put one here. This is an empty frame here, and then I'll put one right here, and then I had to put this one here to block. Actually, I got an empty frame here. It's just starter strip on here, full drawed out frame like this one here, to give them separation so they won't make that funny wonky comb. And then we'll put this one right down in here, and that's a 5-frame that's packed out. I'll put the smaller 5 frames into an 8-frame box, and the larger ones more into a 10 frame, so that will help take up some, get them some working room, because we don't want them to swarm on us. I've went through several, not come across the first swarm cell yet, so we're staying on top of them pretty good and going through them. And just, I noticed the last video I showed you the corn, the bees were all over the corn, the tassels. So we'll have corn in about a week. So come on pretty good with the garden, and these bees sure help. And we got tons of blueberries. Always have more blueberries than we need. Chickens eat the ones off the bottoms, and of course we take off what's the top, and there's always so many. There's way too many for us to ever eat. We freeze a bunch of them. But anyway, back to the bees. So what we'll do, I'll quit splitting on some of these and just let them grow out, because I do want to make some honey hives. I've not done a whole lot in the past because just mostly into nukes and really needing the bees, and hard to grow out big colonies when you need those for nukes for the customers. If you got any of those old frames, and put them on the outside, because if you're not sure about if they can build that brood on them or not, and then let them build out some honey. Well, in the act of trying to get some of these split, we got a swarm going on. I was over there finding some lids to go on these 10 frames and 8 frames, and looked over and seen the all familiar swirling of bees, like a tornado going around and around and around. So walked around seeing which one's coming out of the hive like popcorn popping, and it's this blue one right here that I haven't got a chance to go through yet. That's how it goes. It just, sometimes they get ahead of you, and apparently this one has, and I'm going to keep an eye on it. We'll watch and see where it goes. Hopefully it's somewhere low. Hopefully it's not on the top of that tree. We'll watch here. We'll make a video of this. kind of excuse the mess and the weeds down there on some of those. I need to put my weed killer again around the bottom part, the salt, vinegar, a little bit of Dawn solution. Sometimes they end up in another box. You never know. Never know about them. I can see some reaching up high, but the majority of them still low. So I've got some of these split just in time. The ones I just had done there, you see some of those bigger boxes. I've done splits before. And no more than get the split done next day or the same day and come back and there'll be a swarm in it. Or I've watched swarms go in to splits and empty boxes. And another thing too that a lot of people just don't believe, and this is how it happens. You've heard of people talking about swarms having multiple queens in them. It's absolutely true. I got one video, you can go back and look. I caught 7 queens out of this huge swarm in this yard. And this is my opinion of what happens. I've seen it. When you get a swarm form and they go past these other colonies, they're at the verge of swarming or overpopulated, they can join in. And I have seen them join in. I've seen them come out of multiple boxes after you get these doing the tornado effect around the hive. And I've seen other ones come out and join. So that's what I'm thinking, because usually when you catch a wild swarm, you normally don't see more than one queen. It could happen, sure, but most of the time you don't. And so what it does, I think, in my opinion, from my experience, from what I've seen, is these other colonies that are at the verge of swarm joins in, and then you get multiple queens. It can be dangerous because you could lose colonies that way, because you know they leave swarm cells. Now, the queens that are leaving also, more than likely, would already had swarm cells in those hives as well. And I think they just maybe wouldn't swarm till tomorrow, the next day, or next week. Go ahead and swarm because of this one's triggering them to do so. So I'm gonna put it on pause here. This may take a while, and we'll watch and see where they end up going. They start swarming around this box here, this big box. So what I did, I threw in 3 old drawn out frames, and I'm gonna see what happens. See if they end up going in that box. Now another thing that's going on too, you never know about swarms. Swarms are weird. I've seen them leave boxes and go back in the same box they left. And right over there is a bunch of, look over here. This could have happened too, and I believe it has. This swarm, look here, and I bet if I dig right down there, that queen's down there on the bottom. That swarm has come around, and they're still dwelling over there a little bit, over there on that side. But they've come over here, right back on, right there she is, right there on that brick, look, right there. See her? She's marked, little green queen, right there. Put it on pause and catch her. There she is. Reached down and grabbed her real quick, got her by the wings. Let me get her in a cage. Look there. I caught her and got her 5 workers in there. She was right down here on that block. And when I seen that cluster down there, I knew she was probably down there hanging around somewhere. So, watch this. Just set her right there on the side. And I'm gonna dig in and find out what's going on in this colony here. Surely there's swarm cells. Well, let's check it out and see what we got. Okay, well, I'm not seeing a situation like this in a while. I have seen it before. There's no swarm cells. This hive is, I would say, fairly weak colony. Not a lot in there. They have absconded this hive. They have left. And it's not overrun by wax moths. She's got eggs laid today that I can see. Now they're standing straight up, so I'm leaning over. It could be a whole different, you never know what it could be, really, to be honest. Something could have got into the colony. That's always a possibility. Some form of pesticides is always possible. They had no reason to swarm, but these are actually splits. So not a whole lot of bees in here. And it's kind of early for a huge infestation of mites. I don't see any hive beetles. I see no wax moths, no wax moth damage. Always a possibility of pesticide damage from somewhere, from something. I don't use pesticides on my garden, but that's always the possibility. I have occasionally seen this too, working in the bee yard and get a lot of bees stirred up, and I've seen them move that direction as well. Sometimes you just don't know. Somebody can pop on here and say, oh, I know exactly what it is, but you really don't, because there's so many different situations that could cause this. Something could have got in the wax, something they don't like. I got the queen caged, and you can see they're all over right there on that cage. I think what I'll do in this situation here, I'm going to remove this box. I'm going to put a new box here. I'm going to get a donor frame from another colony. Two, instead of splitting some of these over here that I was going to split, I'll leave her in the cage. And these bees are already situated to fix to this position. So we'll put a new box right here, and I actually have another idea as well. I do have a box down here on the end that is completely queenless, and I actually had put a queen in it and they killed the queen. This box right here, I went through it a little while ago. There's nothing in it but bees. So I've changed my mind about the donor frame. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to move this. I'm going to keep her in the cage so she'll be safe. I'm going to move this box over and let all those bees go into this box with these. They'll fuss and fight a little bit. I'll smoke them good. I'll go ahead and pull that queen back for a day. And I probably wouldn't have to. I could probably just leave her in the cage right there where she's at, because these has already been queenless. So it's not like a queen was gone and the queen was added immediately. So that wasn't the situation. So I could just go ahead and just put her in the bottom frame here, make sure she's good, and put a cork on both ends if they can't get her out for sure. Move this box over, and we don't have anything in here, hopefully, that's whatever the reason was. And we'll try that instead of using these same frames. I'm going to do that. So let me go ahead and get it moved. Okay, I'm back. I want you all to know something. I do a lot of experimenting, and I come up with some pretty decent ideas sometimes. By trying things, I fail, I succeed, and I learn. I learn from my mistakes, and some experiments work, some of them fail, some of them fail drastically. Some of them are very, very successful. Here's what I've done. Now, I know a lot of you will frown on this, but it's an experiment. I want to find out what's wrong with that colony over there. I want to see why they left that colony. And one way to rule out something is what I just did. And it may cause another swarm, it may cause them to abscond again. But at least I'm going to learn from experience and see what's going on. So here's what I did. Okay, that colony, this colony is sitting here right now, was right there where that blue one is. All I did is swap positions, and put the queen in here in her queen cage. And I'll leave her in there 3 days. Okay, what'll happen over here on this colony? This colony was queenless, in my hopes that between now and them making a queen cell, if they make a queen cell, or if they abscond again. They don't have a queen to abscond with this time. They don't have a queen at all. It completely changed their mindset. I don't think it's pesticides, because it would happen, I would think, in more than one colony, not just one colony, for one thing. Sometimes, like I said, you just don't know. That's why I do experiments. That's why I try different things, because I dig and I want to know. I want to see what it is. So this is what I did. I moved positions. They'll be forced to make their own queen now. They got young eggs in there that I just told you about, where this queen over here was laying right before the Ephraim was trying to swarm off. Like I said, and you've seen on the video, they got up out of the hive. They swarmed over there, swarmed around the circle, come back, and landed down here on the bottom like a swarm with the queen. And I seen that cluster, had a feeling she was there, more than likely she was, and I caught her, put her in a cage. So, swap these two positions. Now, this will make some good videos in the future, or another video at least, a week from now, when we'll see what happens. We'll see if this queen here, now remember, she's got her own bees in there as well. Half of those bees in there are hers. Half of them are from this other colony over here. So they will tend to protect her. This colony over here is going to be a mixture of both colonies. And let me just gander in there real quick and see what's going on. Now remember, these are two colonies mixed. Now normally you would think you would see bees rolling over each other fighting like crazy, because they're foreigners to each other, but don't see anything going on right there. And usually at the entrance you'll see a lot of fussing and fighting and going on, but I don't see anything there. They're confused. And so let's see what happens. We'll do a video here in about another week. Give these a few days to settle in, and we'll see what happens, and give them time to see if they draw out a queen cell, see if they accept this one over here. Just a little experiment, and let's see what happens. Thanks for watching. Honeybees.